President Joe Biden visited New Hampshire today, touting infrastructure investments and how they've made a difference in New Hampshire and Maine. Good evening. I'm Pat Callahan. Amanda Hill is off tonight. News Center Maine's Sean Stackhouse was in Portsmouth today for President Biden's visit, and he's here now to fill us in. Sean?
Pat, much of President Biden's comments today focused on infrastructure, particularly improvements to ports and waterways. Now, we are just outside of New Hampshire Port Authority where the president gave his remarks this afternoon. And it's also right next to the Piscataqua River between Maine and New Hampshire, as well as Portsmouth Harbor. And this is just one of the areas that the president says is already benefiting from the $1 trillion infrastructure law. According to the White House, Portsmouth Harbor handles about 3.5 million tons and nearly $2 billion of cargo a year. President Biden spoke about some major recent investments in the harbor. Those include more than $18 million for an Army Corps of Engineer project in Portsmouth Harbor for navigation improvement, which widened the uppermost turning basin in the river, making the port more accessible. Biden also discussed an additional $1.7 million for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for maintenance and dredging in Portsmouth Harbor through the bipartisan infrastructure law, something the president says will benefit the whole region.
Without that dredging project, the port might need more restrictions on what ships can and can't pass through this harbor. Instead of turning away business, we're sending a message. This port is open for business and will be for a long time.
Now, President Biden also spoke about a number of other topics, including one particularly important to Maine, broadband expansion. And he was joined today by Representatives Chris Pappas and Andy Custer, as well as Senator Maggie Hassan. No representatives or congresspeople from Maine were in attendance. We will have more coming up on News Center Maine at 6 about the president's visit to New Hampshire. Live in Portsmouth this afternoon, Sean Stackhouse, News Center Maine.
Thank you, Sean.